Why context is the most underrated skill in Canadian financial planning. So, have you ever noticed how the exact same data can feel totally different depending on how it's presented? Let me give you an example. Would you react the same way if the headline said, unemployment rises to 6.6% versus unemployment is still below the 30-year average? Both headlines are technically true, but the emotion that they trigger is completely different. One creates panic, the other one offers reassurance. And this is what we call framing bias, and it plays a huge role in your financial decisions, even if you don't realize it. Hi, I'm Laurent Munier, partner and advisor here at Safe Pacific Financial in Vancouver. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here with us before, welcome back. So at Safe Pacific, we specialize in helping Canadian business owners, professionals, and high-income families grow their wealth, protect their assets, and transfer their legacy to the next generation as tax efficiently as possible. In today's video, I want to talk about something we don't hear enough about in the financial industry: the importance of context in making smarter financial decisions. So why financial context is crucial for Canadians making wealth decisions. So when it comes to personal finance, investing, retirement planning, tax strategy, or even choosing the right life insurance policy, one thing matters more than most people realize: context. So in the world of Canadian financial planning, context helps you understand not just what a number means, but what it actually means for you. So two people could be shown the exact same investment report, the exact same insurance policy illustration, or tax projection, and they could come away with totally different conclusions. Why? Because of how the information is presented. So this is known as framing bias, and it's one of the most common pitfalls that Canadians face when making financial decisions. Framing bias happens when the presentation of financial data influences how you perceive its value or risk, even when the facts themselves don't change. So for a real-world example of framing bias in Canadian wealth management, let's say an investment firm advertises that their portfolio outperformed the market by 12% last year. Well, that sounds great on paper, but without context, that number is meaningless. So what if the benchmark that they used changed halfway through the year? What if the market sector that year had an unusually high return? What if the portfolio underperformed for 8 of the last 10 years and now is only recovering? So what if the risk level was much higher than a traditional portfolio? So this is why context matters. Without the full story, what looks like a smart investment decision could end up being a major setback for your financial goals. So whether you're investing inside a corporation or selecting a retirement income strategy or choosing between term and permanent insurance, you need to know how and why the numbers look the way they do, not just that they look good or they look bad. So at Safe Pacific, we see this all the time. We review proposals, we review marketing brochures, insurance illustrations, guaranteed return pitches from other providers that are technically accurate, but they're presented in a way that lacks clarity or balance or long-term perspective. And then that's dangerous, right? Because decisions about your family's financial future shouldn't be based on cherry-picked numbers or emotionally charged headlines. They should be based on facts, long-term planning, and context that aligns with your personal and business goals. So some real examples of framing bias in Canadian financial services and why you should be paying attention. Framing bias shows up more often than you think, especially in the world of financial services, in investing, insurance. It's the subtle art of presenting financial information in a way that may be technically true, but lacking the full context needed to make a well-informed decision. Now let's take a closer look at some of the real-world examples where framing bias could be steering Canadian investors or professionals or business owners in the wrong direction. So number one, misleading investment performance reports. You've probably seen investment brochures or fund manager websites that boast about their 10-year average return. On the surface, this sounds impressive, but what they often don't tell you is that the numbers may be heavily skewed by 1 or 2 years of unusually high performance. This creates an inflated sense of stability or reliability when the average return doesn't reflect what most investors experienced year over year. Worse yet, the firm may change the benchmark or the comparison index halfway through the reporting period to make their results look better. So what you should ask is, how consistent has the return been every year? What was the performance benchmark, and was it adjusted during that time? And what's the risk level of the portfolio compared to the stated objective? Number 2, life insurance illustrations that only show best-case scenarios. So when looking at life insurance options in Canada, especially permanent products like whole life or universal life, you'll often be shown projections based on current dividend rates or assumed returns. But here's the catch. Many life insurance illustrations are shown using a best-case scenario, without disclosing often how those scenarios occur or how they could change over time. So some projections show strong cash value growth and death benefit growth, but they don't highlight how the dividend can fluctuate over time, or how much the policy value is guaranteed versus not guaranteed, or what happens to the policy performance during prolonged low-interest environments. And then why does this matter? So if you're relying on policy loans or planning to use the cash value for retirement income or large purchases, overestimating growth could derail your financial plan. Number 3, tax strategies that ignore comparative planning. So it's not uncommon to hear about a smart tax planning strategy that promises to minimize corporate tax or maximize RRSP deductions. But here's what often gets left out: the alternatives. So you're shown one solution, perhaps incorporating or moving money into a holding company or using a trust structure, but you're not given a side-by-side comparison of another option, like a whole life insurance for a corporate tax deferral, or TFSA versus RRSP versus non-registered investing, or paying yourself a salary versus paying yourself dividends. The problem isn't the strategy itself, it's that you haven't seen the full picture to decide if it's best fit for your financial goals, your time horizon, or your risk tolerance. So why contextual financial advice is essential in Canada? So as a Canadian business owner or investor or incorporated professional, you can't afford to make decisions based on one-sided data. You need to understand how each product or investment or strategy fits into your broader wealth-building plan, especially if you're dealing with tax efficiency, intergenerational wealth transfer, or retirement planning. And then this is where working with a trusted financial advisor or an insurance professional becomes critical. So here at Say Pacific, we help you cut through the marketing noise, and we help you cut through the hype by giving you clear and objective side-by-side comparisons. We explain how the numbers were calculated, what the risks are, and how your decision fits into your own long-term goals. And now there's a difference between simplifying financial advice and being simplistic. So why does this matter in wealth planning? One of the core principles we live by at Safe Pacific is this: financial planning should be clear, transparent, and easy to understand, but never oversimplified to the point that it becomes misleading or incomplete. So in the world of financial advice, especially here in Canada, there's a major distinction between simplifying complex information and being simplistic just to make a product or strategy sound more appealing. When financial concepts are simplified the right way, they empower you. You're the business owner, the incorporated professional, or the investor, and they empower you to make smart, confident decisions with your money. But when the advice is overly simplistic, it glosses over crucial details. It glosses over risk factors or assumptions that may affect your long-term financial outcome. That's not just bad advice, it could be dangerous. Why does oversimplification hurt your financial plan? So again, at Safe Pacific, we've reviewed hundreds of strategies, from insurance illustrations and tax minimization plans to investment portfolio designs, corporate structuring portfolios. Unfortunately, many of them are framed using overly simplistic scenarios or incomplete comparisons or best-case projections that don't give you the full picture. So this could lead to underestimating your insurance needs, overpaying in tax due to improper structuring, or relying on investment returns that are not guaranteed, or making estate planning decisions based on incorrect assumptions. And that's why our goal isn't to sell you a product. It's to build a financial strategy that actually works. is based on facts, not fluff. And what does this mean for your financial plan? And why should you care about all of this in the first place? Well, because how information is presented directly affects the decisions that you make about your money. When you don't have context, you might panic when the market dips, or, even if your portfolio is still performing well over the long term. You might choose the wrong insurance policy because the short-term premiums seem cheaper without understanding the long-term cost. Or you might avoid an investment opportunity because the headline return didn't look strong, without realizing the risk was significantly lower. And if you're a Canadian business owner or you're an incorporated professional, the stakes are even higher. So you're juggling personal wealth, corporate tax planning, succession planning, legacy goals, all at once. And every financial decision you make is interconnected, and the context is what brings clarity. Final thoughts. Work with advisors who add context, not confusion. At Safe Pacific, we pride ourselves on being advisors, not salespeople. We're here to help you understand what your financial options actually mean. We're here to help you compare strategies side by side with real numbers and realistic outcomes. We're here to help you avoid making emotional decisions based on headlines, hype, or framing bias. We're here to help you create a long-term wealth plan that reflects your goals, your values, and your lifestyle. So the next time you're reviewing an insurance quote or a portfolio report or a tax planning strategy, ask yourself, am I seeing the full picture or am I just seeing the highlight reel? Because that one question can make all the difference. We have been helping hundreds of Canadians save and invest safely and clearly according to their situation and their goals. If you're looking to work with a trustworthy and experienced investment advisory team, we'd be happy to chat and see if we can be a good fit for you. To start, send us a message through our website at safepacific.com, and somebody on the team will reply to you within 24 hours on business days. From there, we'll set up a time to meet and to get a better understanding of your current situation and your goals and your concerns moving forward. You can do it now. Head over to safepacific.com and send a message. There's going to be a link also below this video that you can just click and get there. That's almost it. Before you go, can you please do me a big favor? Do those things that the robots love. Click on the like button, click on the subscribe button. If you got any questions, add a comment below. The reason I ask you for that is because that helps the algorithm know that you love this video and that you would like it to go to more people that are just like you. That's it for today. I'll see you next time.